Alrighty, so I usually do these videos right when the weekends, like the day ends, the weekends, it's the start of the new week. But where I live, we we do was it daylight savings time, so we actually sprung up an hour, and won't be till another 45 minutes until we get the weekly close to see where all of our indicators are. But it's okay. I can do them. I can do this a little bit ahead, and then tomorrow I'll do a video tomorrow, and we'll get a good update of kind of before and after. So we hit a new all-time high, right? So Bitcoin took off over the weekend. It was Saturday, so um, yesterday it hit the new all-time high right here on the 13th. We got to 61,788 based on Coinbase. We are on a 9, so we're looking for a 1 to 4 day correction. We did so the 9 on the 4 hour or the time the 4 hour time frame actually kind of gave you the 9. And what we have, again, it's 1 to 4 candle correction. We're on a 3. A little while ago, this actually was a 4, but it's flipped up to a 1, and that's because it's above the close of this handle, which is 64.61. So if this goes back below in another 45 minutes, this will be, the 4, and then we could possibly get, price going back up. So what did we get? On the hourly, I believe, yeah, it had gotten you out. But, this was a reversal candle right here. We got a 9, went sideways, retested it. I usually don't mark the 9s on the daily. But if you would have seen here, it went above it, and then it came back and retested it. I mean, on the hourly. I usually don't mark them on the hourly. But that's fine. We had a reversal candle, nothing much, and then we can go, it went up. We can look at the CMF to see if that gave us any indication of bearish price action. Not really. It kind of just trended up with the price. And then on the 4 hour, I believe you kind of started to see that trend, and it's still kind of just, our indicators trending down, but our price is going up. And the last time I did this video, I believe we were on a 7, and I said it was likely, there are no double tops. It was likely that we would get a higher, a new all-time high within the week. But the 7, and the 7 was kind of, this candle is kind of questionable. The indicator was trending down. I said, if we want this to go higher, the CMF really needs to go and break out. It really didn't go and break out. It really didn't go and break out. What we got was we did get a new higher high, and we broke. I said we were consolidating between, and it was a wide range between this, say, 58 and 45 area. It's really 57.5, but somewhere around there, right? If we would have wicked up a little bit, we broke out of that. I found support here, and we went up. So what's the potential? Where can we go? And for that, I would really like to look at the Fibonacci on the longer time frame. I say on the longer time frame. We could look at it on the weekly, and I want to look at it based off of the old all-time high, the Fibonacci being drawn off of that, because that's kind of how you would want to track it, based, if you were doing this, based off of the previous all-time high. Is this it? No, this is the last retracement. I thought I had one on here. I thought I had recently drawn one. Yeah, here we go. So what we're seeing is a retest, and let me get rid of these real quick just so that you can see it better. Not a retest. We're seeing a test of a Fibonacci level, this 61,748. And where was our high? 61,788. So it's basically $40 off of where this Fibonacci said you would find resistance. And we found resistance there. Now, how long is this resistance going to be here? I'm not quite sure. You can kind of look at the other indicators and see kind of what that tells you, if we'll get a pullback, and we possibly could, because we're on a 9, right? And that's 1 to 4 candle correction. Where could we go? We'll look at that in a second. But right now, this is a resistance area. So the next we were ranging between 45 and 58. Maybe we range now between 61 and 51, right? Somewhere in there in this Fibonacci area. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but it's something to look at if we get some pullbacks. Again, we would look at our other indicators and see where we're going. Something else I did want to point out, and I did talk about it before, so I have a video where it says Bitcoin where is it? Bitcoin in the next 2 months. 60K in the next 2 months. So let's go to my channel. Videos. And where's it at? Right here. No, that's not it. Right here. This is it. I'm not going to play. I mean, I guess I'll play it. Or just probably hit pause. So yeah, so right here. BTC 60K within the next 2 months. And this is where I talked about this Fibonacci area. Not Fibonacci, the Mayer multiple band area, that once we broke within the next 60 days, we would get, kind of where price was. And I did that. I did that here. Right there. I'm pretty sure I did that video somewhere around the January 5th. Pretty sure. No, maybe somewhere around the 6th. I can just pull it back up and see. Go to my channel. Videos. When did I do this? These 6th. I did it on the 6th. And the reason that I did that right here is because I saw this and I said, oh, 60K within the next 60 days. That's kind of what this tells you. And it's more so really that we would reach the upper band, and the upper band was that was at that area. So if it plays out within 60 days, this was the 6th, so you'd just go to March 6th, kind of where we're at. Where are we at? Where's March 6th? Right there. So that price was at 58, but I remember doing the video and saying, if I was 3% off of the top, I would take that, and I still do take that. But these Mayer multiples are going up, and it was about a week off, but man, giving a prediction, try to do it yourself. Try to give some price predictions on some assets and see how close you get. It's not easy. So if I'm looking at this, really the last time that we clearly broke out from here, because we kind of retested this line that second week of February, but we really broke out right here on the 17th of February. And where was the price at that time? 90,000. So could we see 90,000 within the next, say 60 days? Possible. It would be 60 days from then. So we're already a month into this. That would probably be next in April, sometime in April. So if I wanted to be maybe a little bit more aggressive, I would say 90K. But let's just be a little bit more conservative. And let's look at this date right here. So February 8th, price was around 83,000. So let's just say 80. So within the next 60 days from that date, so April 8th, we would be somewhere around 80 if this relationship holds true. So we'll see. So maybe 80,000 within the next month, sometime in April. We'll see how that goes. Another thing I wanted to highlight, it's the 200-week moving average. There's this chart right here looking into Bitcoin. It's the heat map, and what it's showing is the percent movement of the 200 weekly moving average. And then once it gets aggressive, kind of in this 14 or greater percentage move based on the monthly close and what the 200 moving average is kind of a good indication of where the top is. Right now, we're kind of in this like 11-week area. And you can kind of see here. So I would say based off of this, now we can get an aggressive move above that, or we can just get consolidation. It doesn't have to go through these, it looks like once it gets in this green area, it goes to the red area. It doesn't never not go back to the red area. So, or it never does not go to the red area. So let's see, like here, it stayed pretty flat. So we can stay flat and then delay this kind of red movement, this red print, and possibly indicating a high. So we kind of want to be very, very cautious for the next, probably, I would say 3 months. So somewhere around the summer, we could possibly be seeing Bitcoin kind of getting extremely toppy and like like a bubble, like a little mini bubble in these cycles. And these are all little mini bubbles, right? Bitcoin grows in bubbles. So we could possibly be seeing that. We need to be cautious. So we'll be mindful of this. May or multiple bands, so maybe 80K within the next sometime in April. I'm gonna shoot for that. I'm probably gonna title this video that. Let's look at this other TD sequential on the continuous count. We're on a 6, so 7, 8, 9. That'll be towards the end of March. So we can get some consolidation. Maybe we get a big price movement within the next 3 weeks, all the way up to 80K. Definitely possible. We are getting a lot of divergences in the price movement and some indicators, and kind of what we haven't seen in this kind of bullish cycle is what I'm about to show you. We haven't seen the price come back and retest these areas and break the lucid SAR, where it comes back and then that kind of marks a low for the cycle, and then price keeps on going up after a couple weeks. We haven't seen that yet, and that happened a few times in 2017. It happened here. That's 1, 2. There was a couple of times where it didn't. So it happened twice. Distinctively happened twice. But there was time, like right here, that could have been it. So say we haven't got any of that here. It's just prices just been shooting up, and this cycle could be a very special cycle. There's a lot more adoption. There's also a lot more Bitcoin moving off exchanges, where people are moving it to cold wallets or cold storage, hardware wallets. Indication that people with larger amounts of Bitcoin are taking it off exchange to hold it for the long term, and that kind of plays to the landscape of the type of investors that have come in. The bigger institutional investors. There's still retail that's in, but this cycle's seeing a lot more institutional buying. So you can see here we almost broke it. Maybe we count that one as 1. We can say that we kind of moved. 2021 is where this started. Maybe May, right? Because that's where it kind of broke and we went up. So maybe 1. It's currently sitting at 43. And this next print, we'll see what the math does. It might be at like 45 or 47. We didn't get a retest on this 4-hour here, which is perfectly fine, but we don't have to. But this has been such a special kind of cycle. But let's see where our potential pullback is based on this 4-hour. We might have already hit it. So like I said, where the close is, we go, we base the pullback kind of what the textbook says. You would go for the previous wick. So it closed at 64.61. The low was here. So I'd go 1. What's this high? Yep. So I'd go 1, 2. The next one is 3. And then 4. So somewhere around right here. Somewhere around 59.6. And where did this go? This went as low as, 59.3, 59.4. What was this one? Yeah, 59.4. So we're kind of in that area. It's not perfect, but what I'm saying is it's giving you a general zone of where the pullback could potentially happen. Where would we get a larger pullback? We can look at our 30 MA and where we would see some sort of breakdown in prices. In the initial run up, we can still trade the 30 MA, but it's getting a little bit more. There was times of consolidation, and then it got kind of unreliable. You could still do it. It would have gotten you out, but it's going to get you in at a higher price. If you're aggressively trading it. But whenever the price broke the 4-hour kind of distinctively, and some other indicators were bullish, the 4-hour 30 MA has been a good area of where, if it closes below it, you could sell and then reevaluate, maybe not re-enter on the 4-hour 30 MA, but it's a good indication of where you could potentially sell. So right now we're above that. That's at 57,630. Nothing to be alarmed about that, but we can look at the funding rate. Funding rate did get a little high, and it is a little bit higher, but like I said, I wasn't really worried, and I'm still not worried. It was higher. We did get the pullback. We did get the, what was it, 15 to 25% pullback that I kind of have been expecting. We did have one that was larger, right around 31%, 31.5%. This is 26, so it still aligns with the type of pullbacks that I would see. This is the one I'm telling you that got a little bit deeper, 31.5. So we've got 2 pullbacks in this cycle. I did a video on how many pullbacks we had previously, and there I do have a chart that has them. We can look at it real quick. I believe I did it on Bitstamp. I'll pull that up real quick so we can count them. I think it was right around 6 total pullbacks. Here they are. So these were larger. These were 30% and larger. So in that cycle, we had one, and we kind of started all the way back from 2016. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 significant pullbacks in that bull run. If you want to look at 2017, you had 4. So we're pretty much kind of on 2. We're on 2 significant pullbacks. These happened January, March, September, and November. So these happened within 2 months. And these happened within 2 months. Huh. When you had a large span in between them. So March, April, May, June, July, August, September. So 6 months, 6-month spread. And then a 2-month spread. Not that that's significant, but so we had 4 major pullbacks in that year. We've kind of already had 2 in this year, but the run up has been more aggressive than the last. I'm looking for my chart. For some reason, it's not coming up. My BTC USD chart. There it is. So yeah, we've had 2 significant pullbacks, but we didn't have we haven't had a restart of this count. But on the continuous count, we're on a 6. So yeah, so we'll see where it takes us in the next 3 weeks. April, somewhere around, I'm going to say 80K. I'm going to say conservative, but it could be as high as 90. But the call will be somewhere 80K in April. Maybe we get a cool off of this price movement. We get some consolidation weeks. I would love to see that. We can look at the Bollinger Bands to see the Bollinger Band width to see if we were getting some sort of consolidation. Not really. Is it characteristic of a bull cycle? This goes back to 2017, so let's just, we can use that one point. Or I can go to, what is it? I'm forgetting what the total, yeah, this one, BLX index. So this is Bitcoin. Characteristic of a bull cycle. $2013 was a bull cycle, so you're looking really, for this is a aggressive price movement. Maybe it diminishes as the cycles go along. That's what it kind of looks like. So yeah, I mean, we did get pretty high, not as high as the last one, but the width is not, even in these initial price run-ups, 1.5, we're not even that high yet. We got there almost. So we'll see how this goes. This updates every week and every day. So if I'm looking at the daily, weekly, it hasn't updated yet. We'll look in the weekly here, 7.6. This one was high as 2.4, 1.5. So it kind of matched up. So we're in a high area, but I mean, you can see how the Bollinger Band width is kind of consolidating. Is that an indication of anything? I'm not going to say it is just yet, but we could see some lower volatility. When we saw it here, where we had lower volatility, even though price did close some down weeks, that was a larger pullback area. And then we got, low volatility, and then we ran up. It'd be nice to see something like that. Maybe a larger dip. Maybe we do consolidate between that 60 and 50,000. It was 61 and 51 area. Because I'm saying, we consolidated, but we really only consolidated between that Fibonacci area for like, a couple of weeks. There we go. It was really 1, 2, 3 weeks, and then now we broke out. There wasn't any distinct patterns that I kind of looked at. I did say on the 4-hour that we could possibly get a cup and handle forming, but we didn't get that, and I'm okay with not getting that. I was going to say here, if price did break down, we weren't getting divergences. So like here would have been a cup, and then we would have had the sideways action. We would have moved, but we actually broke out. So, but let's just run through the standard ones. So CMF on the 4 hour, on the daily, trending down significantly. This could trend down. I mean, I would really like to see this start to trend up and break this high and get some aggressive price movement. But I mean, we've had some consolidation, but I mean, in Bitcoin, everyone expects the price to be so moving so quickly, and that's nice and it's fun. But consolidation in prices in an asset that you're kind of using as a store of value or to beat inflation it would be a lot nicer. At least for a couple of weeks, maybe like 4 weeks. I mean, there was a time here whenever Bitcoin broke down uh, in 2018 where we had consecutive weeks of consolidation and then we had minor capitulation and it broke down. So we can kind of start it here. We had 9 weeks, 2 months of, very minimal price movement 4%, 3%, down 1%, down a half, 5%. Like, people were joking in here that, that Bitcoin was a stable coin, but then it broke down. And then even here, we had some good, very boring. Let's see if the Bollinger Band matches that. Oh, not Bollinger Band width, but there is some compression here. Bollinger Band width. So that does. You can see that there's, low volatility that matched here and that matched here. And this was in 2019 in here, whenever price really fell. And I mean, this is kind of considered consolidation. Almost as well, boring price action. That happened for 18 weeks. You had a massive amount of time to buy this dip from December of 2018 to March of 2019. You could have bought Bitcoin, been part of that rally in 2019, and then, price fell. But yeah, and this time people were really thinking that Bitcoin was going to front run the stock to flow model, but then that didn't happen. Come to find out, there was a big scam called, I believe it was called OneCoin. There was a couple of them, but they were buying up a lot of the Bitcoin, and then it actually started to dump whenever they got busted here. And they actually held a significant amount of Bitcoin. I can't remember what it was, but it was definitely, I think, tens of thousands of Bitcoin. And then it started dumping, COVID, and then now we're back up. That's all history. Look at this. This is awesome. So yeah, I would still like to see that type of consolidation. I would love to see, but there isn't it. There really isn't any. In bull cycles, there's very little time. There's not many dips and opportunities to buy the dip. You don't have much time at all. You're basically, it dips and then you wait like 4 or 5 weeks and then it's back up to new all-time highs. And here we kind of saw that in this, where it's a high, it's a low. How long did you wait? You waited 4 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks until you get a new all-time high, until price breaks out. That happened here. I mean, it went down. You really only waited like 3 weeks. So even though this was a pullback, what this is showing you is it's showing you that Bitcoin's being bought up very, very quickly. Prices getting, it's getting sold. Buyers are coming in and then aggressively moving the price up. So this cycle is very different. And that's why a lot of myself and a lot of other analysts were saying that, maybe we see this super cycle. So Dan Held was, I believe, the first person to ever use that term of a super cycle. You can look at him; he's on Twitter, where you saw these double peaks. I mean, I kind of noticed it. I didn't give it the term of super cycle. I kind of noticed that we were moving in that kind of more like 2013 type price movement early on, sometime in January, that we were getting that type of. It was very possible that we could get that super cycle type movement. Didn't coin it super cycle, but just that we would get these double tops in 2021. It's still possible where we can get a double top. We can get, not a double top, we can get double peaks. So we can get a big price run up to like, that 80, 90 area. Price falls maybe 50 to 60%, and then we go even higher later in the year. So if we did do that, say we got to 90 and we fell 50%, we would be back in the 40s, 65%, would bring us all the way back to the 30s. Definitely possible. Not saying that it's gonna happen, or that we're gonna get that much price falling, since we have institutional buyers who are more long term. They usually don't buy something for a a year or 2 years. But maybe they're adapting to the Bitcoin cycle. Very possible, but we'll see. Just to be mindful of it. We can look at the on balance volume. That's still trending up. The daily, again, we have convergence. Bearish divergence on price. 4 hour broke out, which was actually good. So we broke out. Now we found support. We're going higher. Hourly consolidation. I said I was going to run through the indicators on the CMF. Oh, man, look at that. That's aggressive. That's selling, and it's aggressive even for price moving down. But there was convergence. There was divergence here. Oh, not there. Well, here it broke out on the hourly. It broke out. CMF broke out. There's a divergence. Price going up, indicator going down. Even it kind of extends here. On the daily, same thing. Much more aggressive, right? Here. So this this little dip, this is moving up a lot. Let's look at the daily, right? Since we have a good divergence, bearish divergence on the daily. Let's bring up the unbalanced volume. That's it's not as aggressive, but it's there. Let's bring up the RSI. RSI is just as aggressive as the CMF. We just went below 60. And, it's breaking down. Here on the 4 hour, it was there. If you draw that line here. On the weekly, you can see it as well. We have higher prices, and we have a steepening indicator coming down. So we hit an RSI, not as high, got a higher high, came down, bounced, but this could still break out. We're kind of early on this rally, but this rally could be, hey, the high, and then we break down a little bit, but it's not really showing that. If anything, you're just going to be bearish on price for like 1 to 4 days, right? Because the TD sequential is telling us we could have a 1 to 4 day correction here, and getting to a price of approximately, let's see, so we go 1, I'll draw here, 1, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Why is this not snapping? There we go. 1, 2, are these kind of the same highs? Now 1, 2, 3, 4. So somewhere around here, the breakout looks like. Somewhere around 57. Yeah, somewhere around 57. And would that match our 30 MA on the 4 hour? It would. This is going to trend up a little bit, but it would. It would match it closely. Or I say closely, if price was at where it was right now. Yeah, so it'd be somewhere around 57, 58. This would match it. But this is going to keep on trending. This is a forecast MA. I want to kind of put that on my other moving average, but I haven't implemented the two codes together. We could right around the breakout area. So if price does retest within the next week, today is Sunday, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So all this week, if price goes sideways, it kind of really depends on the markets too. Because we'll look at the S&P real quick. This could sell off. We could wick down, maybe even as low as like 55, and then we go higher because we could move between 51 and 61 for a little while, maybe a couple of days or a week, and then we go higher. So yeah, that's about it on Bitcoin. Let's look at the S&P because I said the markets. Oh, didn't mean to do that. So yeah, the S&P closed higher. It looks like we got a new all-time high last week on the S&P. Yeah, we did. We're on this 9. That was a retest area where it looks like we're hitting it. The 4 hour, we got a 9 here. Let me mark that. There we go. Yeah, so S&P overall, I mean, I don't see any bearishness. I can bring up the CMF real quick. Oh, this is an index. It's not going to have the CMF. But we can look at the RSI. Yeah, this would have to break out, right? I mean, it could, and then we get a big move in the S&P. It's not overbought. Yeah, it's kind of mellowing right above 50, which is okay. Oh, what am I doing? It's not going to have on balance on the volume either. Yeah. All right. So S&P looks okay. I'll look over the other trades real quick as well. I want to look at this funding rate again because I didn't really elaborate on it. But it's high, it's higher. It is trending down. I mean, we're on a 9. We're probably going to get it to 1 to 4 days lower. It's not really that significantly high on the weekly, even based on the old last bear cycle, and it could not get that high. This could be the new norm, but it's still not relatively that high for this cycle. So it could get higher this week. All right, now let's look at TLRY because TLRY actually started moving and it looks very good. I'm actually very excited about it. We got all the way up to 27. I'll just look at the TD sequential for this and then the 30 MA. So we're on a 3. We're on this 9. It did kind of close down on Friday. I wish this would have stayed higher. Yeah, so I mean, we're looking good. We're above this Fibonacci area. We're above this Fibonacci area of 26, so we could now start spending time maybe between 34 and 26. We'll see how that goes. We'll look at some other indicators, the RSI, and it kind of mellowed out. It's trending down, but we're getting some good pressure up. Let's bring up that 30 MA real quick. We're above that. That looks okay. We did get the 9. We did consolidate and then retest and then break out right here, but then we're back at it. So kind of be cautious. Long term, I still think this is going to do exceptionally well. We'll look at the on balance volume to see if that could give us an indication. I mean, the CMF. We had a good week, so that's a little bit of selling on the 4 hour. But on the hourly, we're trending up a lot. So this, if you would have looked at this in the week, even as price was just going sideways, you saw a trend up in the CMF, which is an indication of, overall buying. So really need this to move up, break this kind of plateaued area in order to move higher. So above 0, it needs to basically move above 0 to really start to. I mean, you're going to see aggressive price movement as this goes up. But if this keeps on trending up with price going up, and if it moves with price and we don't get bearish divergence, this would mean that this 40 area is very much possible, probably within the next 3 weeks, something like that. Yeah, because we haven't even flipped to a green 1 yet. And in order to do that for this week, we would have to close above $29. So we could see a move. That's about a 10% move. We could see a move up to this area. Maybe we wick there, and then price could start to range bound in between 34 and 26, which would be good for more aggressive price movement up. All right, and there was another one that I entered, I think, on Friday. So sometimes you just, I'm not going to say you get lucky, but sometimes, there's a whole process of screening, have a stock screener, finding potential buys or shorts. This came up, I believe, on Thursday. So I follow Zero Hedge on Twitter. Not that I use it for stock screening, but they had said something about Drive Shack. I don't remember what exactly the news title was, but I was like, what's Drive Shack? So I looked into it, and they're a direct competitor to Topgolf. And I've been to Topgolf before. I think it's really cool. It's like bowling for golf, where you can kind of go and do things. You have like a lane, and it's just a driving range, but there's a point system, and it does it for you. The balls are tracked. Well, Drive Shack has that same technology. Topgolf is not publicly traded; they're privately held. But I'm like, okay, so what is Topgolf worth? What is its valuation? And privately, the most recent valuation it got was $2 billion. So a $2 billion company. So what's Drive Shack? No. So also, Top Shot has about, I think, 70 locations across the country. Yeah, and maybe like 75, something like that, across the world. So globally, so let's just say about 75 locations. They're a $2 billion company. Drive Shack. I did read some bad press on them, having some issues paying their contractors and stuff like that. But let's just say that's not a logistics issue. Let's just say that issue is not. Maybe not, I'm not gonna disregard it. I don't do fundamental trading, so um, I'm more technical. So kind of what got me into this, but to finish up that thought, uh, Drive Shack has about 7 locations, I think, or five. It's 5 locations, and they're a $250 million company. So they're pretty much right about where they should be based on locations. Assuming that they make the same amount of revenue as Topgolf, which isn't a good assumption, but just using this because it's a small company. 250 million is very small. So let's see. Let's just say they're half as good as Topgolf. So if they're half as good as Topgolf, that's a $1 billion company, and say they're a quarter million. So that's 4 times where they're at. That would be $12. So it's at 3. So I'm like, okay, that's a little bit of fundamental thought. That's not the best arguments in the world. There's a lot of assumptions in there. I'm not a fundamental trader. I don't go look at balance sheets. I don't really know who the CEOs of, the major companies. Yeah, I don't know who the CEO of this Drive Shack is or Topgolf. So I'm just looking at indicators. So what kind of showed me whenever I saw that article, and I'm like, what's Drive Shack? And what I saw was that we were consolidating, not in this area, right? So we had a consolidation between $2 and say it was maybe more like 250, like 220 to 330, or not 330 to 340. So let's just draw that in. Somewhere right here to around here. Not perfect, it's just a guide, right? So we were consolidating in this channel, and I love to trade channels. They pop out, they're clean. I can't go in there and manipulate the line. They're just flat. So we were consolidating here, and maybe all this breakout is a breakout to say 340, but I'm gonna watch that. So the entry I got in was somewhere around, I think, like 2. Yeah, and we were on the 9 here, consolidation, and we had some good movement in the CMF, I believe. We did, right? So we're here. We started to get some. What was it on? I think it was on the hourly, maybe. What's today? What's today's date? Today's the 14th. I think I entered around the 11th or 12th. I think it was the 12th. The day that we had the big price movement. It was Friday. So yeah, right when the market opened. Why is there there's a price gap here? It's like it didn't track it. Was that the 12th? Maybe that wasn't the 12th. That was the 12th. There's a big gap of data missing here. Oh, because I'm in UTC time. How did this? I think I was fiddling with my chart earlier. Because I was looking at Bitcoin. There we go. It's like there's a big span of missing price. Here we go. So right here. There was. There really wasn't. What was it? Unbalanced volume. There we go. That started to move, but that moved with price. Was it? I'm trying to see where I kind of reasoned my way into this. Here we go, right here. This is where I reasoned my way into this. So there was price movement up, and we had the on balance volume starting to move. Did I expect such an aggressive move? No, but we did have a 9, and it didn't get retested with a red number. Even though we had the 9 consolidation, we came down. So I'm like, okay, I'm coming into this. It was definitely on the 4-hour. I remember now. So I look at a lot of stocks, and I take positions, and I know what my positions are. But sometimes I might lose track of what exactly my reasoning was. But as soon as I looked back at the chart, that's why it's important to keep a trading log, because you can write notes in there on why you might have entered it. So we're here. So I was like, okay, we're consolidating. Yeah, I'd like to get in a little bit sooner. But I can see that there's a range here. We're kind of in the middle of that range. I have my on-balance volume slowly creeping up. It had already creeped up a significant amount. Yeah, we were on the 7. So I'm like, as soon as the market opens, we closed at the previous day, we closed here at 274. So I'm like, okay, 90, 290, that's like 5%. I mean, that wouldn't be a bad trade if I just roll some money in. And if the price starts to fail, I can exit. So that was my reasoning for that. I didn't move my moving averages. I'm pretty sure the CMF was also trending up. I was going flat, but you could get a breakout. And I actually started to dip down, but it was definitely on the on-balance volume where I saw that there was some buying coming in. I think the SAR had also broken here on the 4-hour. What is it doing on the daily? And I know the weekly. I did look at the weekly moving averages, and that was actually showing some clustering, and so price was at, where was price at? Price was here at 266. And the high here was 272. So price would have been pretty flat, but we had some clustering, and we didn't get a retest of that 4-hour, and we had some on-balance volume trending up on the 4-hour. So I'm like, okay, maybe we don't get, and this was a red number too at the time because it wasn't as high as 290. But I'm like, we could retest that 290 area. And that would be like 5% relatively quickly. Could it happen that day? Maybe, but most likely maybe next week. Still a 5% trade. This had already started to bounce. So I'm like, okay, this would have given me all in. If we get up and close above like 283, that's really bullish. Like I took out the 2 weeks high, and I basically took out all the, I took out the last 3 weeks. The price took out the last 3 weeks high of 298, closed at 340. Where am I wrong, or where do I want to start taking some profits? Maybe start to see some breakdown in price. If we retest the 290, that's still above where I got in. I got in right in the morning, right at. I mean, you can I know. I got in the morning, right in the first couple of minutes. Right here is where I got in. So 270. Somewhere around there. Yeah, it was like 270 something. So that's where I got in. And after lunch it ran up. So the return was very good in a short amount of time. So I just used 70, so 14%, over 10% in a day, which was amazing. Was I expecting to move up that much? I was expecting maybe 5%, 3 or 5%. We got more than that. There is some reversal candles here. I'm pretty sure the CMF is probably trending down. It is. So that's an indication of some selling, some people taking profits. But on the larger time frame, the 4-hour, we got a big price movement. We're going to get a 9 tomorrow unless price utterly collapses. But based on the CMF, it's not going to do that. On the unbalanced volume, it's not going to, it's kind of reaching this resistance area. Breaking above this would be huge. And like I said, on the 4-hour, we had already started to see some big, this shows, increasing buying volume with the on-balance volume and the CMF trending up. As more buyers come in, we can look at just the general volume and see that was huge. This day was a big day. Pretty much almost as many buyers as there were sellers this day where price collapsed down. I don't know what happened this day. I'm a technical analyst. I'm not going to say I don't care because I did talk fundamentally about the company before I started. But there was massive buyers here. So we'll see how this goes. We retest this upper area. What's our target on the breakout of this channel? It is, and that's all. This is all the time I'm going to spend on this one. So our target is, what is it? 450. Hey man, that's a pretty good trade. Say around 270 something. That's 60%. Is it going to do it quickly? It could do it quickly. There is, I mean, look at this volume. This is large volume. This is basically the largest volume it ever had. I didn't even realize that. It is. There's never been this much volume traded in a single day for this asset. So that's like, I mean, that's historical price volume. There's been bigger moves, but that's significant. We just took out more buyers than, or more volume ever done in the whole history of this stock. And on the weekly, not quite as much on the weekly, but on the daily, yes. So the weekly's kind of, if this trends up even more this week, it's a small company, 250 million. There's some good, there could be some good volatility in there for price to go up. It's definitely one of the weeks where it had higher volume. So could we break out? Could we have more volume? And this was a sell-off week. Could we see more volume, maybe to the upside, and maybe, like I said, maybe get to this target this week? We'll see how it goes. Maybe that's an indication of some some profit taking, 60-something% in a week. That'd be phenomenal. Is there anything on the TD sequential that say we would get there? That'd be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That would carry us to the 22nd. That would carry us to the next week, maybe longer than what you would want to, because you'd have that weekend risk. But maybe we get, a 9 consolidation, go up and maybe hit another 9. Something to watch. But hey, that was the entry on this. I'm in one of these, TLRY as well. There was another newly listed, so Roblox, I guess. So this is a company, I guess they're in the video game industry, and they're pretty popular. It's hard for me to trade newly listed stocks. There's not even enough data on the hourly for me. It's not even printing the TD sequential information. It is on the 15-minute, but that's not enough for me to trade this, or for me to look for entries on this. There's just not enough data. I'm not a get in on the IPO guy. I let the market do some price discovery for me. It's not like assets have ever, not that I know many of them. I don't know many of them that have gone to the IPO price and then they've never gone back down to that area. So we'll see. I don't know what the valuation of this company was. But it's just going to have to be more. There's going to have to be more price action. I can't give you any sort of technical analysis, on just a couple of candles. So maybe I'll revisit this in another week or two, see what's kind of printed out and what we're looking like. But yeah, there's just not enough there. A lot of people ask me, what do you think about this? It's listing. There's just not enough data for me. We can look at Uber, because that was a big listing, right? We can look at Uber. A lot of people were very high on Uber. We can look at here. It did start trading, I think, in 2018. When was it? 2019. So yeah, you got in on the IPO. It went up. You think you're everyone's a genius. In a kind of upward price movement, you got 10%, and then it started to dump, and then it went lower. So you had the opportunity to buy even below the IPO price, significantly below the IPO price. Say you're the guy here that bought this high. You could have bought 70, almost 70% lower. And then look, there's a high, it breaks out, and then what's the return here if you wait for the breakout? 28%. So it's sometimes it's good to wait. I bought it here, and then I literally had to wait, 78 weeks, so more than a year, in order for me to see, if I bought on IPO day, see my profit go up. Most people don't like to hold for that long. I found, talking to a lot of people about trading and stuff, patience is not something that is very common. It's something that you need for trading, for sure. You need, if you're going to be a successful trader, you need tremendous amount of patience. And if you're not a person who has a lot of patience, I'm not going to say this isn't for you, but you already have one thing going against you, and it's a big thing. It's something that you. So if you're a patient person and you wanted to try this, I think that's a plus that you're patient. If you're not patient and, pride yourself on being patient with yourself or others, it's very unlikely you're going to be patient for this, especially when it involves your money. Um, so yeah, patience is key. And with IPOs, I'm extremely patient. I'll let the market do my price discovery for me. There's risk in that, and being the first guy to buy it. All these people took the price risk for me. I bought it on the break. I could have bought it on the breakout and be up 30%. I'm not like this guy, right? Or this individual that's up 300. But was there something there? I haven't looked at Uber. I'm gonna blindly look at this, and I mean, I don't know how many times I have to say this T is sequential works. There's a 9 right here. Yeah, there was a 9 in other locations, but there's a 9 right here. And we can probably just pull up the RSI and see that it's super oversold. What are the odds that this is a good buy-in price? It's never been that low. Since it severely broke down. I mean, that's COVID. Okay, this is COVID. Severe breakdown. I buy on this 9. I don't get the exact bottom. I get 17, and then, basically a year later, I'm up 200 something percent, 3x. But if I didn't want to hold, I could have bought the 9 here, went 1 to 4 candles, hit the 8, sold, and I mean that would have been a good return as well. 58% in like within 2 weeks. That's very good. But yeah, so I mean, my advice: IPOs, they're not for me. Maybe they're for other people. There's just not enough data. But I will go over that Roblox maybe again in another week or two just to see where it's at. But that's about it. So yeah, I appreciate it. This is a little bit longer. I spent a lot of time on this. I like to maybe keep the videos down 20 minutes, but sometimes there's just a little bit more to say, and this is good for me as far as looking at assets and just kind of like, I mean, you really. I mean, I was on here in over 45 minutes. we printed. Let's just go through some stuff real quick. So yeah, so the SAR was on 45. Could we get a dump there? Not sure. We're green for the day. We hit the 9. I thought I marked this. Maybe I just didn't do it. Maybe I should have waited. I didn't save it. That's why. Maybe. I hit it. That's what it was. I hit it. So anyway, but that's it. So we got the new week. I just wanted to look with this printed. The SAR, it's at 45. Could we get that dip? The dip would have to be from the high, would be like 26%. Definitely within our ranges. Or below 60, not that big of a deal. This ended up turning into a 4 at the beginning. It was a 5. I mean, it was a 1. Our moving average is here at 57. I said that could be an area of retest and support maybe. Our hourly, we're probably below it still. Yeah, so that's about it. I covered enough. I'll do another video tomorrow and see where we're at. But I appreciate it, and thanks for watching.